Alright everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil, and today we're going to be talking about Kyrotech and this concept with it of you need it so much, it's so bad that it's good. I think we really have a lot of misconceptions around Kyrotech and the impact it has on the game, whether or not it's actually good. Like, the amount of Kyrotech we need is obscene, right? It's crazy when you look at that number. But there's also a really good side to it. There's also a freedom that it affords you because everybody needs it. And we're going to kind of break that down, and I'm going to explain how you can use the Kyrotech to your advantage in SWGO. So please like and subscribe, comment down below. I want to give a shout out to our channel members, as always, for your continued support. If you guys are ever interested, y'all know where that link is. It's down below, along with a link to our Discord. Go check it out. I really appreciate you guys just keeping the faith, sticking with me through good, bad, thick, whatever you want to call it. Fat videos, bad videos. Y'all are the best, and I couldn't have done this without you guys. So thank you again. Let's get in here and let's talk on some Kyrotech. Now, I am fully prepared to catch some hands in the comments, for lack of a better term, but I think we really need to recognize how good the Kyrotech situation is. Not that I think what's the wording here, that we don't need an obscene amount of Kyrotech and that it can take a while to get all of them. But the freedom that Kyrotech affords us is everyone needs it. Everybody needs Kyrotech. If I just go to my, a random character who needs Kyrotech, let's go to my, here we go. If I need to go equip here, all right, there are all the characters that need that. All the characters that need that, plus others, right? Everybody needs Kyrotech now. But that's actually a good thing, because it allows you this freedom that if I'm building for my new Bad Batch team and I decide that I want to switch gears to Dark Side clones, I don't have to completely farm all new gear. As long as I haven't equipped it, I still have that chance to just throw it on the characters I'm going to invest in. A great example of this bottleneck, particularly with Kyrotech, is Egnard's, and I'm going to go to his account because I want to walk through this, because this is something he was mentioning the other night on Three Scoundrels, and even, to myself as well. So he was planning to work on the new Bad Batch. His entire plan was to work on the new Bad Batch, and he obviously equipped the Kyrotech. He's in a different position than a lot of you just like me, so, take that with a grain of salt. But his plan was to work on the Bad Batch. He then found a SWGO daddy who gave him the resources to get Dark Disguised Clone Troopers, CX2, and Oppo all up to relics. But he wouldn't have been able to do that if the bottlenecks in this game were so vastly different, that there's a million different pieces that you would need that are all vastly different depending on the faction. And particularly, obviously with him, it's a little bit more like signal data, and that's a whole nother topic for another day. But think about the Kyrotechs as well, that because he's built so many Kyrotechs because they're a safe thing, you're able to invest in them kind of knowing down the road you're going to use them. If you've ever played Marvel Strike Force has a gear system, and the way it works is, instead of just, all right, you need this piece, it's also dependent on the kind of character you are, kind of like your origin, if you will. An example of this would be, and I'll kind of explain it, I'll explain their gear system real quick. So if you're a tech character, who an example would be Iron Man, his superhero origin is tech. Thor, his superhero, is mystic, right? He's kind of magical, so he's a mystic character. And Captain America was bio, right? That he got those injections, and now he's, Captain America. They all take different kinds of gear. So you could work on Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor, and use different gear pieces and level them all up. But if I want to work on, say, Thor and Hela at the same time, I don't have that luxury because they're both mystic characters. So in Galaxy of Heroes, to kind of translate it there, it'd be like Jedi and Rebels needing different gear because one uses the Force and the other one uses blasters. That's kind of the concept there that Marvel Strike Force employs. And there's some benefits, but it's also challenging because it's very difficult to pivot. Where in Galaxy of Heroes, it's very easy to pivot. As long as you haven't equipped that gear, you're going to be able to take the stuff that you were going to use on Omega and throw it onto Oppo or CX2 or Disguised Clone Trooper. So with that, you have this freedom. With that, you have this ability to stockpile Kyrotech, to save it, to know that... and this is where I think the misconception comes from. A lot of players will just spend their Kyrotechs right away. You know, Phil, why don't you have all of your Kyrotech on Omega? Why don't you have all of this? I mean, actually, I can't even gear her up because I'm going to be missing some of these pieces. That's actually really bad. Oh, that's funny. I literally was like, why do I not have the ability just to gear her up right away? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I noticed that. It's so funny. But I do have all the Kyrotech I would need. But it's because I haven't equipped it. Because I've recognized over the years that it was better. Now, right now, it's probably not as big of a deal, but it was better spent in my pocket. Because there were multiple times where I switched up my farming plans because of something. One of the great examples I'd think of is when I was going for Rebels and I was going for GL Leia. I was getting GL Leia. I was working on her. I still had a lot of Kyrotech to equip. And that's when the Resistance Lightspeed bundle came out. And so instead of spending all of my resources on the Kyrotechs I needed for Leia, I was able to throw all of that gear into the Resistance, and I started Rey's Journey that night. I was able to pivot, now obviously in a different situation than a lot of people, but I was able to pivot very quickly. So what you want to do with Kyrotech is use it as a tool. Yes, you need a lot of it. Yes, it sucks. Yes, it feels like you're drowning. But all that means is just hang on to it a little bit. Like, I don't even equip Kyrotech until I'm ready to relic a character most of the time. Obviously, with some of these, events and things, that's changed. But if you can hang on to your Kyrotech, you're going to be a lot more successful in this game. And I think that's the misconception is, all Kyrotech is bad. If you actually look at it from the angle that you know exactly what you're going to need to farm for the next 5 years, as awful as that sounds, it's also really kind of nice. Could you imagine, hear me out. Could you imagine spending a year farming Kyrotechs, getting ready for something, and then they flip a switch, and the next kind of team needs some new gear piece that isn't invented yet? Or that you weren't working on for the past year, or whatever it was. And now, you're either going to be stuck gearing up a faction that's subpar, or completely shift your focus and spend all your time, on the new thing, and constantly chasing. Where at least with Kyrotech, you're able to actually start interacting with stuff. Like I've said on a lot of recent videos, we're running out of characters who only have 100 Kyrotech on the finisher. Most characters in the game now take 400 Kyrotech. I would say 400 is probably a safe number by this point. So use it to your advantage. Use it as a weapon. Like, use it against CG, right? You are condemned to use the tools of your enemy, as Luthen would say. I wish I could do Stellan Skarsgård's voice, but that is one that I just, if I could, that is like that just like growl that he has is so powerful, especially when he says that. What do I sacrifice? Everything. That's my Luthen bit. But what I want to say there with Kyrotech, kind of finishing up and just touching on one last piece. With your Kyrotechs, turn it into a weapon. Turn it into something that allows you to shift your focus at a moment's notice, and you're not completely caught out. And there's a lot of other resources that you can do this with. Just, I think Kyrotech kind of gets all the attention. But obviously, signal data works. Mods work, right? Like, we could go into everything. Every resource fits into this category. And maybe that's a whole other video of what things do you kind of focus on and stockpile versus, all right, just get what you need and move on with life. But, that's another topic for another day. What I want to wrap up on here is, if you're short on Kyrotech, right? If you are down on your luck and you're like, I don't really have that much, I don't know what to do. Here again, as a lot of players I feel need, it was the Fat Phil Guide to Success for Kyrotech. So rule 1, your shock prods, right? That annoying piece, the shock prods right here. Light side 7B. Come here, farm light side 7B. This was my baby. This is where I spent almost all of my regular energy. When I wasn't farming shards, I was farming light side 7B. And I did that for, I don't want to know how many times. I literally do not want to know how many times I farmed this node. It would just depress. I'd just get depressed. So light side 7B, that's your shock prods. Then you have the computer piece, your laptops. These pieces, you're going to use your Get 2, you're going to use your Grand Arena currency, and you will get plenty of those. You will actually get more laptops doing that than just by farming. Like, that's, you end up getting a lot more. It's not even that you'll get more laptops. They're not as common of a piece as the shock prod. So I don't know if that's something everybody's fully aware of. You actually need more shock prods than you do laptops. And that's not just because I've used more. Like, that is literally a fact on, if you go to, like, the Swago events gear page and look, it's like a significant margin. I want to say it's like last I checked, it was like 7,000 more shock prods than laptops. You know, it's definitely a significant margin. But because, you know, you farm the light side 7B because you definitely need the shock prods, you buy the laptops, and then if you get to a point where I've got 800 laptops and I've only got 100 shock prods, then go buy your shock prods for a while till you start getting closer and then go back to your old ways. If you do that, if you follow that plan right there, you're going to end up with more Kyrotech than you know what to do with. Because you're going to get them from other places too. Think about all of your assault battles, right? All your legacy assault battles, extra Kyrotech. If you're doing the Peridia Patrol assault battle, there's also Kyrotechs there as well. Zepho, Mandalore, territory battles, territory wars, conquest. There's, you know, they're definitely throwing Kyrotech at us left and right. And you will, I promise you, you will get through it. But you can get through it faster. One, if you just are, you know, following what I said there. But also if you're using it as a weapon. If you are using it properly to level up the characters that are actually going to make that difference and net you more income. So, that's the end of the video, folks. I hope that helps. Let me know your thoughts down below. Like, subscribe, comment. I love you all. May the force be with you, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, my friends.